Hey, garden friends, before we start today's episode, first I got to share with you, August 17th, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., we've got the extraordinary houseplant event going on at the Elk Grove store. You can find rare and exotic plant varieties. There's going to be deals and hot buys on plants, of course, DIY projects, raffles, and of course, you get to speak with plenty of houseplant gurus that can answer all your houseplant questions. Once again, August 17th, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., we got the extraordinary houseplant event in Elk Grove. Hope to see you out there, garden friends. Now let's start the show.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Kevin Jordan or his guests. These gardening tips and suggestions may work for you, as well as those from alternative sources. When using any garden products or tools, read and follow all label directions. And learn how to make your yard summer strong at bewatersmart.info.
The Green Acres Garden Podcast is the podcast dedicated to helping gardeners hone their growing skills while we celebrate our love of plants. So whether you're new to growing or a seasoned gardener, you're sure to learn something new. Join the fun as we have conversations with world-class growers, passionate green thumbs, and professional garden experts from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Listen every week. We'll answer questions you didn't know you had. And away we grow. Hello and welcome everyone to the show. This is the Green Acres Garden Podcast. I'm your happy host, Kevin Jordan, garden teacher by day, garden podcaster by night, here to bring you another wonderful episode of the Green Acres Garden Podcast. Back in studio with my good buddy on the microphone, hey. Austin, the butterfly blank. How's it going there, Austin?
Hello, Kevin, and hello to all of our listeners. Welcome back to the show. We've got a great one for you this week because we are still riding high from Harvest Day 2024. Kevin, tell them about Harvest Day. What did we do?
Dude, I'm still buzzing from it, honestly. It was an amazing time. So we went to Harvest Day, put on by the UC Master Gardeners of Sacramento County. It was at the Fair Oaks Horticulture Center. I had an amazing time. We bumped into some old garden friends, met some new garden friends. There was so much to see between all the vendors, the experts, an army of UC Master Gardeners just buzzing around that place. It was like a beehive. The energy there was so cool. A lot of just amazing, just smiling faces for people just wanting to kind of check things out. Tons of giveaways. I was kind of bummed because we were busy working the whole time.
I saw people.
I wanted swag, dude. All those composters and stuff. I saw a lot of people just hands full of free stuff.
Yeah, the Sacramento County people were giving away food compost bins for your kitchen counter. Yeah. That was really cool. And then, there was plants being sold there. A lot of knowledge being shared. The Master Gardeners, like you said, were just roaming around answering questions. That
demonstration garden, dude, was
demonstration garden
breathtaking.
Was really, really cool to see stuff, because we talk about it, but to see it in practice is really cool.
Great way to learn.
Yeah, so if you're asking them, like, how do I train a tomato doing the Florida Weave or whatever, they're like, oh, well, right over here, we could show you exactly how it works.
I saw them train a tomato up, and it had just like a ring, like the metal fencing and the mesh, and it looked really solid. It was sturdy. So I loved it. We bumped into old friends. Hopefully this episode, we're going to bring some amazing guests to you.
Yeah, so I mean, we were recording the whole time, basically, just left and right. So I have a lot of great content from all the people we talked to, and I'm condensing it down to just give you guys the highlights, the best of the best, our most fun moments, and our most educational snippets as well. So we're going to start out with learning about soil from Kevin Marini. So he was a featured speaker. We're going to jump into his talk about what is going on with soil, and then we'll hear from a couple other people that we met that day. So let's go ahead and jump into Harvest Day 2024. Here we go.
I honestly think that the most important thing that gardeners need to understand is what they're growing plants in. So let's get started with soil itself, okay? In general, if we were to look at a generic graph of what soil, real mineral-based native soil, is made up of, the generic graph says, well, 45% minerals, 50% water and air in varying proportions depending on what soil you have, right? And so what's the remaining, 5 to 10%, that little pie slice? Can anyone tell me? Yell it out.
Organic matter.
Organic matter. The thing about organic matter is it's not actually one thing, right? It's actually representative, that little pie slice of native soil, that's organic matter, is representative of the living biomass in the soil. It's representative of a fraction of residues from plants and animals that's breaking down actively, it's decomposing. And it has a component of stable organic matter that's been around for a very long time, was chewed on constantly by all these organisms, and is generally called humus. You may have heard of that term before. Not hummus. Hummus has 2 M's, right? Humus has 1. Okay, so I was so interested that little pie slice has all these characteristics and is so incredibly crucial. You know, the research says that most of our productive agricultural soils in the whole world have an organic matter percentage somewhere in the range of 5 to 6%, okay, of the whole percentage of soil. Now, so what do our native soils have when you inherit them, right? Probably less than that, okay? And so remember that, you know, soil has evolved over a tremendous amount of time, and its source is rock. So what defines soil, mineral-based native soil, is the fact that it came from rock. And this happened over hundreds of millions of years. And here you come along, and we get 1 split second of time to be a steward of our soil that you have in your yards. Split second of time, right? In the grand scheme of things. And guess what? This is pretty empowering. You have the ability in that split second to potentially expand that organic matter pie slice, right? And improve your soil and get it more lively, okay? So if we look at nature, what system does nature have in place for keeping our native mineral-based from rock soils fertile? Why does nobody have to go out and fertilize trees and shrubs and plants? How does it work? There's one specific word I'm looking for, and it starts with M-U. Thank you, mulch, whoever said it. So nature's way of keeping that little organic matter pie slice humming is to deliver leaf litter, just like all around here. There's litter all over the place. Okay? That cover of, you know, leaf litter, of animal poop, of all sorts of things that are deposited on top, that keeps that organic matter fraction humming, okay? And so with native soil, we can learn from nature, and in most of our landscape areas, utilize mulch, simple annual application of mulch, good organic mulch, ideally arborist wood chips is what I prefer. And you can keep or potentially expand that organic matter pie fraction, okay? So just in your native soil in your backyard with ornamental plants, using mulch is gonna go a long way to keeping that soil healthy, to protect it, to feed it, and to grow great plants, because you're just mimicking what nature already does perfectly.
Roses on your shirt.
I love roses, and I heard that you do as well.
I do. I'm Anita Clevenger. I'm a Sacramento County Master Gardener.
What do you love about roses?
Well, I love the variety. I love the fragrance. But I'm a person that likes old roses, so I also like their history.
Do you have a personal favorite of yours?
Well, actually, you're looking at it.
Yeah?
It's Pearl d'Or rose. It has the sprays of blooms, and it blooms. They talk about what blooms repeatedly, just about continuously. And so what I love about it is just what you get, how delicate the flowers are on a tough bush, and that you can cut a branch of it, and it's a bouquet all in and of itself.
So now what is this variety called?
It's called Pearl d'Or, Pearl of Gold. And it can be bought through specialty nurseries, but it's not generally in commerce today at the bigger nurseries because it's not got a patent, it's not the newest and greatest. But UC Davis lists it as one of their all-star plants. So a plant from 1884 can still be a good plant for today.
Well, I'm looking at the specimen behind you, and it's midsummer. It's been pretty hot, and that plant looks extremely healthy. How would one keep a plant looking so good like that?
We don't do anything special, really. We cut it back, we irrigate it periodically.
Is it drip system out here?
Yes, it is. We have inline drip system. We don't fertilize out here.
Lots of mulch, though, it seems
There's
like.
lots of mulch, and so the soil's very active. And this gets some filtered light.
The canopy is nice.
Yeah.
Talking to you right now in the shade is pretty delightful.
Yeah, but at my house, it's in the full sun.
So I've been told that you have a rose named after you. What an incredible honor. What's the rose? And
Well,
when, how'd
it's
this come
called
about?
Anita's Rosy Glow, and it isn't yet available commercially. It is in this country now. It was bred by some rose breeders in India who have named some roses in honor of people that they've met around the world.
How'd they come to find you?
Well, we go to the same conferences, and we talk in the same chat groups online, and we visit one another. I've never been to India to visit them, but they've been to California to visit me. But I'm here in the perennial garden, and I love lots of kinds of plants.
Yeah, you got some beautiful
and I really
options around you.
don't want myself to have a rose garden that's only roses. Somebody that came to my garden, and I told you about that, walked in and went, "This is a revelation," because she was always told nothing could be growing next to the roses. And in my garden, phlox and sweet peas and salvia, the low geraniums, the true geraniums, they're all layered in there with the
intermingling
roses.
together.
Yeah, and you give the roses a little room to breathe. You don't let them get crowded out. But I find it so much more interesting to have diverse plants.
What are some of your favorite plants to utilize in and around your roses?
I have a lot of true geraniums. I have Erigeron, the Santa Barbara daisy.
Oh yeah,
You have to watch that.
it grows. It mats out pretty good.
Yeah, but you cut it back twice a year. You tell it who's boss, and then there it is. I do lamb's ear. They're
Oh,
pretty.
the stackies, yeah.
And I cut back off the flower spikes, keep it back, and it too can be aggressive, but it's really a very nice underplanting.
Now, cutting off those spikes, is that going to help kind of keep the foliage growing and producing, or keep
It
this a
just
little
makes it
cleaner?
neater.
Yeah,
Just neater.
They're beautiful too, because it's nice when you have a lot of things in the garden that are true green or dark green, then you get that offshoot,
Right.
that silvery, furry, hairy foliage.
Exactly.
I love it.
But I don't cut off the flowers until the pollinators have visited. I just wait, once the spikes are spent.
Love it.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the common mistakes to avoid for just general rose growing? How can just someone who's new to rose cultivation and growing at their own home, how can they be successful
They
early
need
on?
sun. They need sun.
Sunlight.
And so sometimes people don't provide sunlight, and so they definitely need that. And 4 to 6 hours a day minimum, although sometimes some afternoon shade is not amiss. And so giving them some space, giving them some sunlight, that's probably the number one thing. They're so tough. So what you do is you mulch, so you enrich the soil, so you hold the moisture in. They do need somewhat regular water, but once established, they can be surprisingly drought tolerant. But drought tolerant, as you know, doesn't mean no water. What it means is periodic deep watering. But roses, once established, can do that. And particularly the sort of roses I like that are the smaller flowered, more shrub roses.
If I was coming to you today and I'm like, hey, I'm on the edge, I'm thinking about planting a few roses, should I, shouldn't I? I have a nice sunny area. What would be your words of encouragement to me?
Well, first of all, go for it. But don't just plant roses. Think about what you want it to look like. What colors do you want? Just what sort of thing or do you have in mind? I'm really big on having a trellis or climbing roses.
Oh, those are gorgeous.
And putting them maybe over a fence, along a fence or up overhead, because I find gardens that are a single layer not very interesting. And so you can fit in roses and the climbing roses as well.
Verticality.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it. Well, Anita, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk a little bit more another time.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right, so I'm here with Dave Faro, the tomato tomcat himself, a great friend of the podcast. And today, Dave, you brought gifts. Can you tell us what you brought?
Yeah, these are the first GMO tomato that's available for consumers to grow.
For someone who doesn't know what GMO stands for?
It's genetically modified
Organism? Okay.
Yes.
So is that scary? Or are we sometimes, not always?
So one of the reasons I prefer it, I'm okay with this one especially, it's spliced in 2 genes from snapdragons.
Beautiful flowers.
Which is actually edible flower itself, right? And the purpose of this modification was to create a more healthy tomato, as opposed to many GMOs is to create a plant that can survive massive pesticide usage, herbicides, and whatever. And in a way, this was done in a way, wanting to create something as healthy for people to very high.
Is very purple.
Very high in anthocyanin, which is the same purple of why blueberries are good for you. Same type of thing. And so, but typically, a purple tomato, you've probably seen them around the market. The purple is only skin deep.
Yeah.
Okay.
They cut right into it. It's not.
It's red. It's some other color inside because they do not. And that's the change that they did. That's what the Snapdragon gene turns on. It doesn't add anything. The gene's already there to make the purple in the tomato. It just turned it on inside the fruit. The whole thing, all the way throughout. All the flesh, everything about it is purple.
And it looks pretty uniform. It looks good structure. It's about the size of a...
It's a little larger than normal cherries.
Yeah.
Just a slightly bigger than...
Smaller than a ping pong ball, but bigger than a marble.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a rip if you don't mind.
No. And so the taste of these...
You got it.
The taste of these, they're like some cherry tomatoes that are high in sugar. These are not high in sugar. They have a good tomato taste.
They do. That's a great description.
It's a tomato taste.
And it doesn't taste too acidic.
No.
It's really good.
And it's
kind of earthy, has a little smokiness to it.
And it really it grows great in salads and great and fresh. It's
that'll perk up a salad for sure.
My wife is like, yeah, it's a keeper. Yeah, keep growing them.
Yeah.
So and
how'd the plant do? Is
awesome.
it an indeterminate determinant?
It's an indeterminate.
So it's just still vining out. And
it creates bunches of fruit.
Clusters
of fruit.
I love that.
Okay, and everybody says that the plant starts out slow, but then just kicks into gear. And it grew great all the way through this heat. It kept setting fruit through this heat in a good way. And I've got clusters all the way up the plant. Next year I'm gonna grow it. I do a lot of string trellising method, and it grows really well that way. So next year I'm going to be doing that. But let me say a little more about the geekiness, okay?
Geek out on me.
It is an open pollinated fruit. It is not a hybrid. Okay, people think, it's got to be hybrid.
So you can save the seeds?
Yeah, I save the seed, but I'm not allowed to provide those seeds to other people or the fruit. Okay, they said you could share it with your community. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure we could share it with the community, but it's open pollinated, and so I have this 24-year-old heirloom tomato that I've been from a family heirloom from Italy. This crazy large beefsteak. What if I just mix? What if I do a little bit of purple and large beefsteak?
That would be sweet.
Genetics,
Why not?
It's
open pollinated.
I might have to try it, and you're allowed to do that.
That's fun.
They give you that okay. But you're not allowed to sell it. You're not allowed to put it.
Yeah.
But it'd be fun as heck to just play.
But once you have it, you have it.
You got to play.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thanks for sharing. That's super delicious.
All right, so I'm going to interrupt. So, Kevin, what did you think? I mean, we tried the purple tomato. What's the verdict? Do you think it's cool?
First of all, beautiful. I mean, God, the color, and it was purple. I mean, we're here in Sacramento. We had the Kings or whatever. I mean, it was like royalty purple. It was King's purple. They should reach out.
This tomato lights the beam.
It should be in like some of their dishes that they have there at the Golden One, because I mean, the skin is dark as night, but the flesh is purple like a paintbrush. I mean, it is. Yeah. It makes a plum not look purple, or a grape even. It is. Yeah. I mean, it looks unreal. And like you said, it was hybridized from the genetics of a snapdragon, which is also an edible flower. I love growing snapdragons. It's kind of interesting to see that genetic sequence kind of get put into a tomato. And it also, I'd be curious to see the nutritional kind of profile of it compared to other tomatoes, like you mentioned with the anthocyanins and whatnot. Those are pretty powerful, like, phytonutrients or whatever. And so that's interesting to learn about. Potentially people could maybe breed or create nutrient-dense, rich foods, hopefully. I mean,
I like
something
it.
to consider or think about.
I first heard GMO tomato, I was like, oh, that's going to be weird. But after seeing it, I was not, it's really actually pretty cool.
It was awesome to see. And I really just appreciate Dave growing it, sharing it. Dave's an amazing guy, so knowledgeable, and very willing to help other people learn. So it's always fun to kind of have him around to learn from and have a great time with.
Let me ask you this, Kevin. Would you grow the purple tomato?
Oh, without a doubt.
Oh,
for
really?
sure. Oh, yeah. I think that's one of those things once people get more comfortable or it gets more kind of widespread, you'll see, or ubiquitous or whatever, you will see people, it'll be everywhere because it's so unique and so beautiful. And it doesn't just look really cool. The flavor's decent.
Yeah.
And it's not, like I said, it's not hyper sweet. It's just very tomatoey.
Yeah,
and
I
good.
liked it.
And the texture was nice. It wasn't mealy or mushy. It was nice and firm and juicy. And I loved it. Like I said, I think once it kind of gets out there, it's going to be a thing.
Nice. Okay. Well, we tried it first.
Yeah. Mark my words.
All right. So thank you, Dave, for sharing that. Let's go ahead and jump back in. I've got another little interview here with a new Master Gardener, Faith. Let's check it out. Here we go.
So my name is Faith Roberts, and this is my first harvest day working actually as a Master Gardener, and I'm in the herb group, and today we have lavender sachets. We're giving those away. We're answering some questions and just really trying to enjoy the heat a little bit.
Yeah, well, you got a perfect spot in the shade, and the lavender smells amazing.
Yeah.
Congrats on your first year as a Master Gardener. I know it takes a lot of work and effort.
Yes.
So what do you think have been some of the most important lessons that you learned during that process?
I think just remaining a student, there's so much to learn. Like even after training, it's pretty rigorous, but just remaining a student, there's so much to learn. There's so many different species of plants. So, you're never really a master.
For sure, right?
Yeah.
Where did it start for you?
My grandma's garden.
Yeah.
As a kid, yeah.
That's good. What are some of the questions? You're out here answering questions. What has been some of the reoccurring questions that people are keep bringing up?
So today, I actually just started my shift here in the herb garden, but people are looking to make like crafts. So I know one lady just came up, she wanted to do a rosemary oil for her hair, and she wanted to know how to dry her herbs. So we were kind of talking about that, and always telling them make sure if you wash to dry them, because they will get moldy, and that will mess up your entire project. So
that's great advice.
Yeah.
The herb garden looks pretty sweet here. Are you have any particular favorites that you enjoy growing or just smelling? Because I'm loving the lavender.
I love basil.
Ooh,
Basil is one of my favorite. I really like to cook with it, and it's super easy to grow. But yeah, it's one of my favorite herbs. It's just tasty. It's really good. I'm always making pestos and stuff. So.
Yeah, I love pesto, and it's like one of those things where it kind of only grows when it's warm, so I have to look forward to it when in the winter. I'm kind of like, I can't wait for basil and pesto.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. What's the best method for you to keep them from just continually bolting? Are you just pruning them back? Or do you let them go to bolt and let the bees have at them?
Sometimes it depends on if I want to make it last, because sometimes when they go to flower they get a little too bitter too.
Yeah, the taste.
So I just keep pruning at it so that they can continue to grow though, and then that can stretch out the season a little longer.
As someone who's a newly anointed Master Gardener, what would be your advice to some of our listeners maybe who are kind of new to gardening or getting into it? What would be your bit of advice to them to encourage them and their journey of gardening?
I would say just trial and error, really. Don't be afraid to just try it and see. Sometimes you might get a good crop, sometimes you don't, but that doesn't mean that you necessarily did anything wrong, because there's so many other factors involved. But just enjoy it. Don't worry about the failure, because it does happen even to the best of gardeners.
True.
Just enjoy the process. Yeah.
Great advice. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and we are back. Big thank you to everyone we talked to at Harvest Day, and thank you to the Master Gardeners for putting on a really incredible event. If our listeners have not been to this event before, make sure you mark it for your calendars next year, and we'll go ahead and remind you about it when it's coming up. Kevin, go ahead and take us out.
Well, this was one of the funnest times I ever had recording an episode for the podcast, Austin. You were great out there. We worked really hard together, but it was a blast to get to meet and see so many wonderful plant people and enthusiasts. I loved every second of it. I'm already looking forward to Harvest Day 2025.
Yeah.
Let's go. Until next week, garden friends. This is usually the time when I do our outro.
That's right.
But we actually ran into some really enthusiastic garden friends. Remember running into Judy and Chelsea,
Yes.
some listeners out there, super enthusiastic and really excited to kind of see that we were out there recording. Loved every second of it. They made us feel so great. So you know what? Instead of me giving the outro, let's let them take it away.
I love it. All right, so Judy and Chelsea, take us out.
And remember, folks, happy gardening to you all, and please
Never stop growing.
Oh, killer.
All right.
I think that's the end of the next episode.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah, come by school.